Hello YouTube, welcome back to another story, and this one is called I Watched a Stranger Die. Sit back, relax, and listen. It was my first semester at college. At the time, I was living recklessly. Often I'd smoke a joint while I drove. I was on my way home for lunch and I lit up a joint, and this sedan in front of me started swerving in and out of the lane. It was a two-way lane road, so I increased my following distance a little. The sedan veered into the right and jumped the curve in front of a junior high school. The sedan nearly ran over a Mexican man who was lying sod. It was like a movie. The Mexican man dove out of the way, nearly being hit. The sedan drove a short distance across the lane of the junior highway and slammed into a tree. This flipped my wig, and for some reason I pulled over to make sure the person was okay. I walked up to the smoking vehicle and was looking around. The guy who nearly got ran over went right back to laying the sod, as if nothing happened. I opened the driver's side door and the Mexican man was behind the wheel. Nobody else was in the car. I asked him if he was okay, and he was not responding to any questions. The car was smoking, so I unbuckled him and dragged him out of the vehicle and laid him on his back in the lawn. I was on my knees next to him, looking into his eyes, which were open. I was asking him questions and feeling his pulse in his neck. A crowd formed around me and somebody was on the phone with the police. The person on the phone was asking me questions like, is he breathing? Does he have a pulse? That's when he stopped breathing, and then all of a sudden, there was no pulse in his neck. Time slowed down, and it felt like it came to a stop. Maybe it was the adrenaline, but seconds felt like minutes. I remember when I was going through my mind at the moment. I could see my reflections in the man's eyes. I was looking at my face, and I was thinking, wow, the stranger's last moment on earth is right now, and I'm the last thing he sees. Time is really going by slow right now. I am going to remember this moment for the rest of my life. Why did I stop? Somebody asked. I knew CPR, which I responded I did. The man's mouth was hanging open. He had silver gold teeth, and he truly looked similar to my grandfather. I thought there is no way I'm going to put my mouth on this guy's mouth. A police officer arrived and I stood up and walked away. I could hear the man on the ground making gurgling noises. I must have been in shock because I walked to the guy's car and opened the driver's door and looked in. There was a bottle of alcohol and on the passenger floorboard. The guy didn't smell like alcohol, so I don't think it was a drunk accident. I think he just had a massive heart attack and died. I went back to my car and drove off. The crowd of people were pointing at me, and the police officer was just standing over the man glaring at me. The guy still laying the sod as if nothing happened. It was so surreal, something I'd never forget. Watching a stranger die eye to eye, feeling the pulse leave his body. This next story is called What Happened to My Best Friend. When I was 9, I became friends with a girl named Angela. We met towards the end of summer vacation. That was when her family moved into a house on my street. Despite the fact that I was a boy and she was a girl, we soon became best friends. Angela was really into dancing. She took lessons at a dance studio in our neighborhood and watched all the dancing competition shows on TV ridiculously. Every time they aired a new episode, it would be all she would talk about, and being a good friend, I always lent an ear. About 3 months into our friendship, it occurred to me, despite all the constant dance talk, I'd never actually see her dance. One Saturday, while I was out riding my bike, I decided to swing by the dance studio to see her in action. She always attended a class on Saturday morning, so I peeled on over and went inside. She spotted me as I walked in and waved. I waved back, but when some of the other girls turned and gave me a weird look, I quickly stopped and took a seat in the visitors area. From there, I watched the last half hour of the dance, and man, was she good. Well, for a 9-year-old anyway, being a guy, I didn't really know much about dancing beyond what I learned from hanging out with Angela. But I could tell she'd put in a lot of practice. Anyway, when the class ended, I noticed her slip away from the group and head back towards what I assumed were the changing rooms. While I waited for her to emerge, one of the girls, who were maybe 11 or so, approached me with a disgusted look on her face. She demanded to know why I'd been watching them, just like some pervert. I wasn't taken aback, and I quickly explained that I just wanted to see my friend Angela dance since she's always talking about it. Now this girl looks confused in addition to disgusted. She told me none of the girls in this class were named Angela. I thought this girl was being dense and told her that there was an Angela in this class, that I'd seen her dance, and that she was getting changed as we speak. By this time, of the girls had overheard and our conversation and were coming over. I also said that there was no Angela in this class and wanted to know why I was here. Assuming they were messing with me, I decided to wait outside for Angela, but she never appeared. Eventually, I made my way home. During the whole ride back, I felt really confused about everything and what had happened. Why were those girls insisting there was no Angela? And where did Angela go? Did she slip out a back exit? Possibly to avoid having to admit that she knew me or something? Was she embarrassed about being friends with a boy? These were questions still ping-ponging around inside my head as I rode up the driveway of my house and parked my bike in the garage. I told my mom about what had happened. Nothing could have prepared me for her reaction. She asked me who Angela was. Oh God, I thought, is my mom on this prank or whatever this is? I told her she knew perfectly well who Angela was. She'd only been my best friend since last half of summer break. At this, a genuinely concerned look overtook my mom's face. She insisted that there was no other kids my age on our street, let alone one named Angela. We went over her house and only there was no one there. There was a for sale sign out front, and when I peered into the windows, it was obvious that the house had been unoccupied for some time. To this day, I don't know what to make out of this experience. I'm certain I didn't invent this girl. She wasn't an imaginary friend. We'd arm wrestled once, so I'd know she was a tangible as a computer I'm typing on right now. I'd also been over her house plenty of times. Her parents, her pets, the furniture. It was all as real as anything could ever be. So where did it all go? And why does no one else remember any of it? I didn't have any answers then, and I don't now. And I still feel every bit as freaked out thinking about this as did when I was peering through those windows into an empty house. Thank you guys for listening. If you want to hear more, then leave a like and comment. See you on the next story.